Welcome to this strategy for educators. The purpose of this strategy is to ensure that everybody feels empowered to be genuinely a teacher of special educational needs and disabilities as required by the SEND Code of Practice, which embeds the notion of quality first teaching. That means educators being outstanding in the classroom as a first point of contact with children. Today we're going to look at differentiation and scaffolding. Some argue that the term differentiation is outdated and there are certainly other alternatives available: personalised curriculum, tailored learning, adaptive teaching. I personally quite like the term differentiation. It is what it implies. It is different resources for different students. Mostly it targets a specific student or small group within a class. Differentiation can be up with extension tasks or down with supportive resources. It means that instructions and resources are adapted to meet the individual needs and learning styles of students within a class or a group. Strategies of differentiation include different tasks, texts or worksheets, the use of ability-based questioning or grouping. In fact, if you're working in a setting with ability classes or stream setting, then you're already differentiating. Differentiation includes foundation or higher tasks, bronze, silver, gold, all, some and a few. It might have additional and extension tasks or early finishers boards to ensure that there's stretch and challenge for your most able. It might also use marking and feedback that is offered sooner or separately or following different tasks for different students. And you might model your answers at different levels, sentence, paragraph and essay as an example. Quite often differentiation involves a separate reward system for students too. Scaffolding, however, is about planning and teaching lessons that allow all students to be successful in the same learning content with the same tasks. All content is taught simultaneously to the entire class. Strategies therefore include things that scaffold up and build knowledge, pre-teaching vocabulary, pre-reading text, preparing students for what is to be expected in that lesson. Chunking instructions and tasks in order to build in and allow for pause, processing, reflection, completion, and lots of learning discussions. So discussions on what we're learning, how we're learning it, and why we're learning it. That goes into the metacognitive talk and questioning, because in scaffolded learning, you're likely to try to consider, teach, learn and embed the actual processes of learning simultaneously to the content. The process and the ability to repeat it in lots of different contexts is arguably equally important as the actual content itself. There's likely to be repetition of similar tasks in order to allow increasing numbers of students to answer challenging questions correctly. You might even repeat the same content looking for different outcomes from the same students. And feedback and rewards are based on the same criteria. So to recap, differentiation means that you're providing different students with different material, different instructions, different content and different methods. Scaffolding means that you're building on the foundations of previous assumed or shared knowledge. You're using metacognitive questioning and processes. You're layering up the learning in order to allow for repetition, reflection, remodelling and the revision of content. And you're withdrawing the support as learners gaining confidence. Both are valid. Both are helpful. There is significant overlap, and it's really important to realise that if you are differentiating or scaffolding your learning, then you are offering quality first teaching. You have the same intention, which is progress for all students. You're recognising diverse learners and learning styles, and often these two strategies occur simultaneously. So let's consider the possible pitfalls of differentiation and scaffolding. Differentiation can be considered exclusive, not inclusive. We can end up stigmatising and labelling students. We've all heard that awful term, bottom set. The preparation of lessons in advance can be resources heavy with a tendency towards an over-reliance on worksheets or gap fills or matching activities or things that require quite a lot of preparation from the teacher in advance. And you can potentially limit the progress and outcomes of your targeted students. With scaffolding, there can be pace and pressure within the lesson. There's a feeling that we have a certain amount of the curriculum content that we must cover in quite limited number of lessons often. It can be time consuming within the lesson. Teachers need to allow time for students to be prepared for what they're going to learn, for the pre-teaching, for reflection on success and the revision of material, and those crucial peer-to-peer interactions and conversations. There is also a real challenge in ensuring that our most able and highest achieving students are really stretched to their full potential. But let's remember that this is quality first teaching. It is an art form and a science. It is learned, it's not inherent. So let's come to some key questions for us as educators on how to be successful. Do you know your students? There is so much data available for you, and that would be my biggest top tip. Go and find it, mine it. The preparation involved in mining that data is so worth it, because once you know it, you can use your strategies effectively time and time again. All the information you need about students, their abilities, their histories, it's all available. Do you know your intended outcomes? Which students are you targeting? Is it all of them, some of them, a few of them, one of them? Do you understand which strategies you're using and why and for who? How will you know if your teaching is successful? How will you observe and record success? And what will you do if your teaching is unsuccessful? Who can you ask for help? What will you repeat, revisit, and how? And what will you change? Differentiation and scaffolding are both helpful. They are both valid. There is significant overlap, and they both form a vital part of quality first teaching. Thank you. If you got this far in my presentation, well done. I hope it was helpful. Please do feel free to reach out to me via Twitter at Debs_cares in order to ask me questions or help me improve my practice. All right, thanks very much. Bye.